Folks, welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. I'm your host, Mark Rigodana, and with me, as always,
Richie Byrne. Very good.
Rich.
All right.
Yeah. It took me a minute to realize, wait, it's the other way. But, dude, well, first of all, I want to look at this shirt.
I know. I'm very jealous.
I'll get you one.
Very, very jealous.
I wanted a practice printout to see if it was good. And it came out. I like it a lot.
I think it's it really works on a shirt. You know what I mean? It's a great logo.
I think that'll be something that maybe we can have as a giveaway or sell on the side. That might be a little fun. But I also wanted to wear it because I'm tired of whoring out everybody else's stuff.
I hear you.
I'm always wearing shirts with other logos or comedy clubs or bands, and why not do my own? You know, it's our band.
Right. It's our band. Last night.
Oh, my God. That was the other thing I wanted to bring up. So Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling along with Tom. Let's bring Tom out so we can talk a little bit about last night. So about last night, we did a college gig.
And I just said the most interesting Tom's ever been on this show. Oh, there he is.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate all of that. I wasn't ready for it, but how is everybody?
I didn't think we were going to talk about it. Then all of a sudden I went, hey, we should bring Tom out if we're going to talk about it. Because when you think of young, hip, college-aged entertainment, I think Richie Byrne, Mark Rigodana, and Tom Benz.
Me too.
I got to tell you, I was so pleasantly surprised on how wonderful they were.
Yeah. We had a great week. We should talk about Sunday too. I hate to do this to you guys, but Sunday night was off the charts. So let's start with Sunday first. We did a private show for Matt Dorita's family.
Yes.
Because Matt, when we had our telethon, when we had the weekend show where we launched here, Matt Dorita's father gave the biggest
donation.
And in return, we gave him a free show, and they were wonderful. And we had unbelievable guests.
Oh, it was such a fun show.
What a show.
It really was.
It started with Moody McCarthy, Megan Hanley, Jim Mendrinos. Then we went John Paul Veromo, you, Silky,
and then the great Rob Bartlett closed it out, and what a show.
Oh, my God. And then it was another, like the marathon. We finished the show and ended up talking for like another hour.
Yeah, for real.
And Justin with opening the show with a song.
How could we forget that?
He sang Chicago, which, funny enough, was the family's favorite band. And we didn't know that.
Right.
So they thought it was like we got inside scoop. David actually asked, did you ask Matt? And Matt told you what to tell Justin to sing? And I was like, that was a happy coincidence, man.
I just thought it was cool that the family's favorite band is not Pop Evil.
What if Justin would have sang a Pop Evil song?
That would have been great.
I know. Sunday night and just had a ball. Oh my God, was it fun. And then Tuesday night, we brought Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling to LSU Eunice in Louisiana. And it was called Laughs, Jokes, and Storytelling because it's college. Yeah. And we brought on people from the school and just had what a show. It really was just
so good.
So good.
It was
so good. And
so interactive. Like the college students were all about it. It's such a good thing to be able to connect virtually.
Hey, Marie. Marie, I was thinking about you yesterday. I was like, oh, I wonder how Marie's doing. I swear to God, that's so weird. Hi, Marie. Man. Yesterday, Marie popped into my head. I swear to God. I was like, shit, I wonder how Marie's doing. Isn't that weird?
It's the universe bringing it all together.
Yeah. Anyway, so we did the show last night for them, and they were great. The Chancellor coming on was really a big get. I didn't realize that till later when Dan said that. Like, because you think about, I'm sure a lot of chancellors of colleges especially in this situation. She didn't know who we were. She didn't know what the show was. She knew we were comics. She could have, her name's Nancy Sorensen, could have been, she could have easily turned around and went, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't know.
Right.
Especially being a comedy show.
Yeah.
They don't want, and we're New York comics going to Louisiana. Like, they don't know if we're going to, like, start making fun of them or.
You know if we were going to be Kevin Downey.
Yeah.
But she was amazing, and I thought she had such great stories. Yeah. And then we had the head of the arts and culture come on.
Tony Batakis, he was great.
He was
Dr.
incredible.
B.
Dr. B, the kids love him. You can tell.
Oh my God. As soon as he came on, left and right, every comment was, oh my God, Dr. B's here.
Yeah. And then we had Steve Riley, who's a musician from down in that area, who's worked with Paul Simon and Robert Plant. He was just tremendous. And it was, what a show.
Then he had two little kids playing music with him. His kids.
Right, his kids. You know what I loved was the idea that we went into a college and made the show about them.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, usually, like, I did a lot of colleges back in my day, and it was always come see Richie Burns' show. If a band goes in, come see the band do their music. This was come watch us talk about you guys. And I think that was really unique and kind of cool. And I hope we enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then today we have the great Kevin Downey Jr.
Yeah, well, there's always a negative.
And then Friday, we're back on with the roundtable where John Paul Veromo joins us, and we have a really great show with the original alt comics.
The original alt, yes.
The original alt.
It's Jim David, Michelle Ballin, and a young guy I don't know. He's out of the West Coast.
Yeah,
remember his name offhand?
I just blanked on his name.
There they are. There's the Post.
God, how could I blank on his name? Bernstein. I feel so bad. I blanked on his name.
I'll find it. Don't worry. Go ahead. Let's keep it going.
So anybody who is watching, we do switch over to Twitch. And when we switch over to Twitch, we'd like you to come join us. You go to twitch.tv, then /drinks, jokes, the letter N, storytelling. Join us there because we just like to give a little teaser here. We give a little teaser, and then we allow the comedians and such to when we interview them, they come on and join us on Twitch. So are you ready to switch over?
Yeah, we're ready to come over. Make sure you join us, Marie. We would love for you to come on over to twitch.tv /drinks, jokes, and storytelling. I hope you're going to join us, Rachel. We will see you on that side. So right after, we're going to play this quick little video, and we will be back with our guest.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Why so serious?
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Well, I'm not good at it. I want you to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has been. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Now we're back. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore, Richie Byrne.
Did you see? We have a message in the private chat, and I have a feeling it's to me. It says, you suck. Get a puppet.
Or a guitar. You pick. Whose bid is that? Whose bid is that? Kevin Downey Jr. is our guest. Welcome to the party, Kevin.
How's it going, guys? Look, I want my head to be way smaller than yours.
Well, if you're going with egos, you still win.
You win big time.
How's it going?
It's so good to have you on, man. I feel like I haven't seen you in person in forever.
It's been too long.
I haven't seen you in a week and a half.
Lucky you. Hey, Rick and Donna. So Colazzo and I have this new thing when we go.
anywhere to the Midwest? Do you know Truck World at your exit?
Oh yeah, I grew up 5 minutes from Truck World.
Right. There's a bar in Truck World called Aaron's Pub. That is our new.
I know
our new
Aaron's.
hotspot.
That place is
Really?
oh my god. That was where
Getting
when you
drunk
were
with truckers.
underage. Yeah, when you're underage, you go there. It's in the back of a truck stop, and make sure you put a phone book in your shirt because you might get stabbed.
And I'm sure there's no freaky sex going on in that parking lot.
Well, when
We love
Downey's in
that
town, all the boys get fired up.
So check this out. We're hanging out there, and I'm talking to this trucker John on one side of the bar, and Colazzo's on the other side. And some guy comes in. It looks like he's touching Colazzo, like running his hand along her back. And I go, John, do you just see that guy touch my girlfriend? He goes, yeah, I seen that. That ain't right. And I looked at Colazzo, and she gave me the signal like, it's nothing, relax. And I was like, okay, well, never mind. So a few minutes later, I go to the restroom, and I come out, and, well, actually, I'm in the restroom, and this guy, John, goes over to the guy that we thought touched Colazzo and clotheslines him and, like, brings him to the ground.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
At Aaron's Pub. It was great. I missed it. I was in the bathroom.
I'm going to have to ask Royanne, the cop I know that lives in Hubbard, if she had to go break up a disturbance from a clotheslining at Aaron's Pub.
Nah, he just took it. He's like, oh, yeah. But yeah, that's where it ended. We got some 24-hour hot dogs from inside the truck stop, and then
From
we
Jim
walked
Jam.
over to the hotel room. The hotel room is literally a 15-foot walk from Aaron's Pub.
Oh, my God.
Where were you working?
We were coming back from Crackers in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
And we were going to crash with Roddy, but we got there at like 1 a.m. We didn't want to wake him up. We knew we were going to get in late. It's like 1:30. So, but the bars are now open there until 2:30.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Ohio loosened up like like a bad tie. Well, the way we start every show is we usually start with a drink and then a joke. And we're talking to Kevin Downey Jr., so I know there's a drink. As he scrambles to the bar. There he goes. He's going vodka. Richie, what do you drink? Are you still on the wagon for Lent?
22 days today, brother. 22 days today.
Oh, wow.
I'm drinking Coke, and it turns out I'm trying not to be as white. Coca-Cola.
I'm going with a bubbly.
Bubbly. Well, Kevin, you guys have to come back to Connecticut. You guys are hilarious. That's great. What
That
about
is a
oh, yeah,
deal.
goddamn times I played Connecticut in my life? Where the hell are you, Wild Orchid?
So I'm drinking bubbly because I have to drive later tonight. So
Where? Are you driving?
yeah, I'll be driving later. But yeah, and so now it's time for a joke. Kevin, do you got a street joke for us?
I do, but I need a drink. Hold on, I'll give you a street joke. Why should women masturbate with these two fingers?
Why is that?
Because they're mine. Thank you. Good night.
Oh my God, that's great! All right, I got a joke. I got a joke that Briscoe gave me today. I talked to Briscoe.
And then I have a few jokes in honor of Kevin Downey Jr.
Perfect. So
There you go.
Colazzo just
So
canceled me for that joke.
Kevin Downey Jr. walked into a Michael's art supply store, dropped his pants, and sat down in a bag of glitter. Pretty nuts, huh?
That's great. Did you guys hear about glitter poops?
No.
There's this pill you take. It's a capsule full of glitter, and you swallow it, and it puts glitter in your poops.
Who would want that?
Who would invent that? Who was wiping their eyes and said, you know what this needs? Sparkles. Unicorn poop. Is that what it is?
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
Kevin, I have a Trump joke. I looked up Trump jokes for you. And I love it because I've been accused on Facebook of making fun of the Democratic people and the Democratic politicians.
Do they know that we do a podcast together? It's like,
and I'm like, all right. It was so like I'm going to prove right now that Kevin can laugh at a good Trump joke, and that's all there is to it. So here we go. What does Trump's hair and a thong have in common?
What does Trump's hair and a thong have in common? I give up.
They both barely cover the asshole.
Wow.
yeah, but isn't he supposed to be the guy who represented us? That's actually a bad shirt. And I'm all for it. Or are you just pointing at your tits?
Both.
Oh my God. So Kevin, you're originally out of Detroit, right?
Yes.
You grew up, and we stopped at your house you grew up in when we were in Detroit.
You did?
Remember? With you.
Oh,
I was with you
in Detroit
when we interviewed Fraud Stewart.
Yes, that's right. We went by the house.
What was it like growing up there, man? Because you were like, was the neighborhood that rough when you were there?
All right. So across my block is the first one off a highway. Like I can throw a snowball, and I used to throw snowballs at passing cars on the highway. Now on the other side of the highway was the projects, and that was it was the more dangerous side.
Okay.
Because the projects were just dangerous.
You weren't on the wrong side of the tracks, but you were right next to the tracks.
Exactly. And the tracks used to come over to our side to beat us up, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Yeah, it was actually like we didn't know it as kids because it's all we knew. But, when we would see the police copter over the projects with the searchlight on, that was time to go home. And, if we were playing outside at night, it was like, we got to go home. The police chopper's out. Because that meant there was a bad guy running around. So we just had to go. I had my first gun at like 10 or 11 because the neighbor got assaulted in her house one night. And so my dad's like, all right, I got to teach you how to shoot. So, but it didn't occur to me that wasn't normal. And then one day I'm watching
most neighborhoods, when the street light comes on, means it's time to go home for dinner, not the police light.
We didn't even have street lights in Detroit then. We'd be playing in the dark, and then there's a chopper. Oh, we got to go. But we'd all been beaten up and robbed and mugged and whatnot, and that just struck me as normal. I didn't know that riot season wasn't everywhere. Every spring was riot season. Yeah, my mom would say, it's riot season. You and Pat play inside when you get home from school. It didn't occur to me that riot season wasn't normal. And one day I'm watching a rerun of Leave It to Beaver, and Beaver goes, Mom, we're going to the pond to catch pollywogs. And I was like, where is there a pond? This show is fake. And why would you go when it's riot season? And I thought, all right, maybe Detroit is the messed up place. Maybe Leave It to Beaver's got it right. Maybe there should be a pond with pollywogs. Maybe riot season shouldn't be a thing.
So you go to high school, you graduate high school, and then you and your brother moved to New York together, or how did that work?
I didn't know this. I don't mean to interrupt you, Mark, but I met you and your brother when we were pretty much open micers back in the day. And
Kevin kind of still is, but
I just thought you guys were like Jersey guys. I didn't realize you guys, I guess because you were both there. So in my mind, you must have been from the area. I did not know that you guys were from Detroit.
Plus, a lot of the comics from the city weren't going to trek down to the shore, the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, where we met, where we worked. But I'm just saying, I never realized you and your brother. I never knew you were from Detroit. I just thought you were Jersey guys, you know?
No, everyone thought that because we would go anywhere for a show. If we could get a ride, if we could take a bus, whatever it was, we would go. We would come out to Long Island and Peter Bales wouldn't put us on. Like we'd take a train in the cab. He goes, "Sorry, you're not one of us. You're from the city. Back on the bus. Back on the train." But we would come up to where I met you, Richie. We would. What was it? I think every Tuesday night.
Rascals at the Shore every Tuesday night had the open mic in the bar, and they used to do, if you remember, they had the big show still. Even on, they ran Tuesday through Sunday. Remember that? That was day.
And here's when you knew you made it, when you were doing open mics and Frank would come out and go, "Hey, Richie, come on, big room. You know, the middle's not here. Do 10. What?
Yep. Yeah.
And we'd flip out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had like Rita Rudner or whatever was headlining or whoever, and you get to go up. Yeah. And that was you're right. That was a big graduation when you got called into the big room. That was a cool thing, man.
That's the call up to the big show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are
Frank
the
Del
AAA
Pizzo
ball
said,
players.
Frank Del Pizzo would go, "Kevin, did you go up yet?" I go, "Nah, Frank, I'm on." And I go, "You're up. Come on, right now." Someone didn't show up. And we were like, and we would just shit our pants because it was a real show in front of a real crowd.
Yes. Yeah. It was a big deal. It was. You're right. And that's where we met.
So
Absolutely.
So did you and Pat move to New York together, or was it separate occasions?
No, we moved together in '86. I was 20, he was 18. But we both looked so young that we got stopped by the truancy cops. I'm not kidding. There was a van and they had like 3 Puerto Rican kids in the back. And the cop goes, "Hey, why aren't you in school?" And I said, "I graduated." And my brother goes, "I graduated." He goes, "How old are you?" 20, 18. He goes, "All right." And they just took off. And that was like within the first, we had just gotten an apartment in Hell's Kitchen. And in 1 week, we saw our first dead body. Someone got hit by a car and the truancy cops tried to pick us up. Yeah. And I thought, this is going to be a great place to live.
You know what that tells you? You can take the boys out of Detroit, but you can't take Detroit out of the boys.
Yeah. In Detroit, we lived, there was a bar behind our house, like one house over. And one day my neighbor goes, "Hey, I'm getting paid to clean some guts off. Someone got shot against the bar." So we went to watch him clean the guts off. But I found out at a reunion like 4 years ago, it was a guy's brains. He had been shot. 2 guys tried to rob an undercover cop, and the cop had a .44 Magnum. And just boom, one guy's head just went. But when they take bodies away, they don't clean up the mess.
Yeah, there's a guy from my hometown made a lot of money being the guy who will clean your crime scene.
Oh, we should totally do that. Klaus was like, "We should do that. Let's do it."
I couldn't. You remember John McLaughlin, the guy who used to work the door at Stand Up New York?
Yeah.
He would talk about, because he was a New York City EMS driver.
Yeah,
I
remember John.
He would talk about shit that was so crazy without even blink. Like he'd be like, "No matter what anyone tells you, the human brain will stick to your shoe. Brains are really sticky." I'm like, nobody's ever told me anything. I've had no conversation about how sticky your brain is.
Mark, you should have been like, "I knew they were lying."
Fucking liars.
Hey, Richie.
Yeah.
I remember things that Frank Del Pizzo told me like 28 years ago that I still try to pass on to new comics now.
Like what?
Like when you're emceeing, within your first 2 minutes, shake someone's hand in the front row because it creates a bond between you and the crowd. Now you're not just some stranger. Now you've introduced yourself.
Interesting.
Which I've always found to be very effective. And he always told me dress one step, especially if you're emceeing, one step above the crowd. Like if they're wearing shorts and t-shirts, you wear a long shirt. If they're wearing long shirts, you wear a jacket. If they're wearing jackets, you wear a suit. On and on.
Yeah, no, Frank was good that way. He was great.
Yeah, he taught a lot of things that I remember.
That's really great advice on the road, but in the city, they want you to feel like you're some guy who just rolled onto the stage. And I always kind of disagreed with that.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what? That reminds me. So we all know Richie Tinkin is gone.
Yeah.
meaning to talk
And-
about.
One of the last conversations I had with him, he goes, you know how he had that Bronx accent?
Yeah.
He goes, Kevin, I want to thank you for dressing up for my stage. These new kids, they don't get it. They come in like they pulled a shirt out of a drawer. I'm like, no, this one's not wrinkled enough. Give me another one. Yeah, that one looks like crap. No, let's go on stage. So he got it. And I think
Yeah.
I got more spots because I dressed up for his stage.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
funny. Anywhere else in the city I played, I would just wear the T-shirt. But if I played the comic strip, I always made sure I had a collar, even if it was just like a ratty polo shirt. I'd rather wear that than a T-shirt at his club, or I'd wear a
Right.
T-shirt with a jacket.
Yeah. But you're right. In the city, I'll wear like a T-shirt with a vintage black leather jacket or something. Especially at the tourist clubs, because you want to look cool. Because you're a New York City comic, you got to be cool.
Right.
Because Greg Giraldo did it, so I have to do it.
So, just so the people who are watching know, Richie Tinkinen was the owner of the comic strip. He passed away last week, and he also was the guy who discovered Eddie Murphy. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. He managed Eddie. He managed Adam Sandler. He was one of the few comedy club owners who actually still went to the club to watch the new comics audition. He was the first comedy club owner to pay comics, to feed comics. He was it's a real piece of New York history.
Yeah, I didn't really know him that well. I only met him a couple of times, but I know you guys know him pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean, the clubs in LA all hated him because he said as soon as the comics were saying we want paid, he goes, "Yeah, you should hold your spot. I know you'll be here because I'm going to pay you."
Right.
And you know what? He was a Fordham Baldy. Do you know what those were?
Mm-mm.
He was a what?
He was a Fordham Baldy. It was a very famous gang in the 60s and 70s.
The Bronx.
From the Bronx, yeah. And he was telling me, Kev, I used to be a Fordham Baldy, if you could believe it. Because, he was pretty religious near the end there. Last part of his life. But he used to be a gang member. I was hanging out with John Mulrooney today, and he told me Mulrooney got in a fight with a drunk guy in front of the comic strip, and he knocked him out. And the manager goes, everyone inside, quick, and shuts the lights off. And like a minute later, Richie comes up and the door's locked. He's like, what are you doing? And he sees the guy there, and the guy goes, I had to shut everything down because Mulrooney knocked a guy out. He goes, John, get a pot of water, wash the blood away. Open the doors. Come on, what are you doing? Turn the lights on.
That's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So did you guys both move to New York to do comedy? What was your plan?
You know what? The plan was to take acting classes for like 3 months and move home. We just wanted to take some New York City acting classes. But when we got here, the guy goes, you can rent the apartment. It's for a year. We're like, all right. So I guess we'll put in a year. But we loved it here so much, we didn't leave. But what we didn't like was acting classes. We just didn't like it. Because I wanted to be Steve Martin. I didn't want to spend like an hour pretending to be a melting candle in some hot classroom in the village. I was like, this is horrible. But our first week there, we walked past a comic strip. And we went in, and the late night comics were Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Ellen Cleghorn. These were the late night people.
Wow. Holy crap.
And every Monday, is free. So we would just go every Monday. And we would see Chris Rock working on the same bits and Adam Sandler. And then obviously they're huge. They took off. But there were so many other comics that were great that were just never became famous. But we would see a guy named Pat McGreal. He was awesome.
Pat McGreal was tremendous.
And we just saw, now we want to be comics. We don't want to be actors anymore.
Where is he? Pat?
He's in Jersey.
Oh,
he's in Jersey. Yeah, he writes mob books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really good. What are all of his books?
What's that?
What can you give the titles of all of his books? Because he has a couple.
Yeah, he's got a handful of them. There's one my favorite one is called Bad Seeds in the Big Apple. These are about criminals who were famous back in the 30s, but history didn't keep up with them. Because everyone knows Al Capone and Legs Diamond, and he writes about those guys too. But that's my favorite because just a bunch of criminals no one remembers anymore. That he thought, wow, this is a fascinating story. I'm going to tell it.
Yeah.
One's called Gangster City. That's a good one.
That's
All of them
my
are good.
favorite.
Yeah, he's got a book about Legs Diamond. That's great. Yeah, so he's writing true crime books in Jersey, and he's doing like he'll get an email or a call from, you know, A&E saying, hey, we're doing this mob thing. You want to be on it? And so he'll go on and he'll talk about it. He and I did this thing where they were filming. There's some supposedly like haunted strip club in Jersey where some gangster got killed there. So Pat's like the talking head about how the guy went in, how he got whacked and whatnot. And then they're showing like people in the crowd, and there's my brother and I giving tips to strippers because they needed like a reenactment.
Downey's going to definitely reenact that.
So yeah, he's there. He did comedy for a while. We worked as a team once, and we were doing this VFW in Jersey, and the guy booked us. He goes, I know my crowd. You have to be filthy. The filthier, the better. And we're like, all right, this is going to be great. So we wrote a bunch of really just like he would say, hey, Kevin, remember the time you were doing grandma all day? And I said, yeah. And we ran out of holes and drilled some more. Yeah, remember that? Like stuff like that. And the people start booing. But the guy who booked us is laughing. And then the guy yells, knock it off. We got kids here. But we just had what we had. So we kept on going. And they're just, shut up, boo. And there's a guy walking towards the stage. And, you know, the lights are on, but I can see him walking. And he goes, I said, shut up. And pulls out a super soaker and just lets us have it. And he drenches us with a super soaker. So we're like, all right, I think you guys want us to leave, right? They're like, so we brought the other comic on, some old lady. She was like in her late 70s who was even dirtier. And they loved her. We're like, wait, why her and not us? I mean, we probably just sucked anyway, but they were mad at us for being dirty. They're kissing her ass for being even dirtier. I forget her name, but she's just a killer. Like, I mean, she's a 72-year-old that says filthy words. Of course it's going to kill. I can't wait to be 72.
Right. People love that, especially a woman.
Yeah.
Love that. I don't know why.
They love a filthy grandma.
They do. Absolutely.
So you guys worked together for a while. Now, then you started working separate, though, right?
We started separate, then we worked together for a while. Then we're like, this doesn't work, so we just went separate again.
But you'd still do the road together, right?
Oh, working separately, yeah. We worked all over the country for a while until he started writing these books and he gave up comedy.
And you're like me. Whenever I'm with you, you're always, and I'm the same way. I think my brother's way funnier.
Yeah, exactly. My brother's way funnier. I
was working on a cruise, and they did a quick Q&A with the singer, the comic, and the magician. Like one day, and we're on the ship, and somebody asked me about where I get my material, and I said, "Well, I have 3 brothers, and they're all funnier than me." And some guy goes, "Well, where the fuck are they?"
I was on a cruise with your brother. He didn't come to the comedy show.
You were? That's right. We're on a cruise with my brother. That's right.
Now, who did you work with that got you very nervous? Did you ever work with a comic that made you nervous?
Yeah, you know what? I worked with Larry Miller.
I love him. He's one of my favorites.
Great Larry Miller.
Larry Miller's great. And he did something that I just thought was the best thing in the world. So it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we're in Rochester at a place called Hiccups. And he comes in Saturday, and I'm like pacing in the green room. He goes, "Young Kevin, everything all right?" I said, "Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, you know, my girlfriend's parents are here because they lived up there. I said, my girlfriend's here, and her parents are here, and they've never seen me, and I'm really nervous." And he goes, "Don't be. You've been doing well all week. Just relax, do what you do, and you'll be fine. Where are they?" And I point them out. It's okay. So I go up, and my 30 minutes goes great. He comes out. He does an hour, he kills. Now, keep in mind, my girlfriend's dad is an actual Larry Miller fan. Loves him. It's his favorite. Larry's his favorite.
Wow.
So he goes, Larry does his hour, he goes, thanks, good night. And they're applauding, and he leaves the stage, and he walks over to their table as people are still applauding. And they told me later what he said. He shook their hands and said, thank you so much for coming. And it's very important that young comics have the support of their family and friends. And I just want to thank you for coming out to support Kevin. And
Wow.
yeah. And then said goodnight, waved to the crowd as he walked back to the green room.
Oh
How
my
nice.
God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Kills for an hour, but remembers to do that.
Man,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
really cool.
I've never worked with Larry. We have like mutual friends, but I've never met him or anything. But I've never heard a bad thing about it. Huh?
He's the nicest guy on the planet. And he has a really interesting career because he's had more holding and development deals than like any other comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's made so much money on shows that were never created or never made air. Maybe they shot the pilot, but he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars on those.
Yeah.
My friend, well, you guys both know him, Pat Ryan and I were trying to hire him to do his one-man show. He does a one-man show, and one of the requirements is that he has to bring a piano. You have to have a grand piano or whatever. And Pat was explaining to the management that it was like, man, this is a real big pain in the ass to get a piano in here or whatever. And he's like, we'll just do it. And it was all ready to go. And then he had a really bad slip and fall.
Yeah.
And he actually was in a coma for a while.
I remember that.
So he, obviously he had to cancel his dates. But when he recovered, he didn't really go back to doing stand-up full-time. I don't even think he still is. He had a really bad slip. He slipped and hit his head on cement really bad.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
His what is it? The 5 levels of drinking.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest bit ever written.
Yeah.
One of the nights I worked with him, someone yelled, do the 5 levels of drinking. He goes, okay, but I must warn you, there's the same 5 levels you've apparently heard before. So let's not give away the punchline. That's my Larry Miller impression, by the way. Pretty horrible.
I like it.
I thought it was Dennis Miller, but that's all right.
So anybody who's watching who is a Kevin Downey Jr. fan or have ever been to a Kevin Downey show, he has a thing in his act that he does periodically throughout the night where he goes over and grabs his drink and he does sip and then he takes a drink and then goes to the next joke. One night we were in the green room and you told me how that came about, and I think that was one of the craziest, wild, weird. I thought it was something you just came up with, but it was a planned thing over a show. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, I was doing this this Friday, Saturday upstate, and I got there with R.C. Smith. He and I are the only 2 people on the show. And the booker, Roger Paul, said, you guys are going to co-close. You need to do 35 minutes. Now, I had 30 minutes that I was comfortable with. Actually, yeah, I had 30 minutes. I thought, all right, 5 minutes, you know what? I'll dance. I'll fill 5. That's easy to do. So we get up there, and we met the guy running it. He's like a low-level mobster type, or at least he pretended to be. But he told us a story about the show he had last week, and he said the comic made him so angry that he broke the guy's ring finger.
Jesus.
And he's laughing, and his friends are laughing too. And he goes, "All right, so here's the deal, Mr. Smith, you're going to do 30. Mr. Downey, you're doing 45." And I said, "Whoa, I was told 35." He goes, "Yeah, well, you guys were supposed to co-close, but your buddy boy here did not send a headshot, so he is now the opener. You are now the super closer. You do 45." And I said, I don't have it. I said, I'm going to be really honest. I don't have it. He goes, "So do 40. And I said, I don't have it. He goes, "Do 40 and do not disappoint me." And we leave, and R.C. Smith goes, "Oh, my God, what are you going to do?" I said, I guess I'm going to bring up a beer and take a lot of sips. So I did a few jokes, and then as a joke to him, I just took my beer and went sip, like dragging it out to take time. And by the third time I did, everyone was yelling sip,
Wow.
sip. So I just never stopped doing it, and now I'm the sip guy.
I love it. It's like Zach Galifianakis' story of the piano. Everybody was like, that's so cool that he does this character where he plays the piano in between jokes. He was like, I was just trying to eat time. I have, 10 minutes of one-liners. They wanted me to do a half hour. So add 20 minutes of music.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, God forbid you write something.
You want to hear the funny part, though? I ran into the guy, the comic who got his finger broken.
No shit.
He really broke somebody's finger?
Worse. I ran into that guy, and I said, you're the reason I say sip. His name's Randy something. You're the reason I say sip, because you did that gig, and you broke your finger. He goes, oh, he didn't break my finger. It was worse. And what happened was they had the show the previous week. It was in a bar, and the guy did a joke that someone found offensive, and they threw a bottle at him. And the bottle, he ducked, it hit the brick wall, and the glass went into some woman's face. So that woman's husband picked up a glass and threw it at the other guy. He ducked, and it hit some other guy. Now glass is flying all over. So the booker takes the comic, and he runs out. And he goes, Jesus, this is horrible. I don't know. He's going to leave you at your hotel room. I don't know what's going to happen. So this comic thinks he's getting paid. He did 10 minutes. A riot broke out. And he goes, I'm waiting in my room to get paid. I just want my money. And at 4 a.m., the guy shows up. The booker shows up drunk with two thugs. And the guy, he goes, you cost me $700 tonight, you POS. And sits on the bed. He's drunk and puts this kid in a headlock and holds him there for 2 hours going, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. I don't know what I'm going to do with you. And all this comic can see is his henchman's face, and that guy looks panicked. So he's panicked. So he goes, this is bad. So after 2 hours, it's now 6 a.m., the guy goes, I'm going to get something to eat. You stay here because I'm going to kick your ass, and throws him down on the ground and leaves. So the comic calls a cab because he flew up from Syracuse. This is like an hour north, about 45 minutes north of Syracuse. He goes, hey, I need a cab ride down to the Syracuse airport. And the guy goes, all right, that'll be $55. He goes, I only have $50. He goes, well, you need another $5. He goes, I need to leave here now. So he begs, and they give him the ride for 50 instead of 55. And he goes to the airport, and he sits there, and he waits 6 hours for his flight because he doesn't want to get his ass kicked. So it was worse than breaking the guy's finger.
Wow.
Or maybe not. I don't know what's worse.
Would you rather have a broken finger or be bored to death at the Syracuse airport?
Randy Epley. Remember him? That was his name.
Yes, sure.
He's from my hometown.
Really?
Yeah, he's from Youngstown.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Holy shit.
He's the reason I say sip.
That's fantastic.
That is funny. Wow.
You know the best, my best sip story is I was
Yes.
doing a one-nighter for James D. Benedetto in Jersey.
Love James.
Yeah, I love him. He's hysterical. And afterwards, the guy, he and his wife come up to me. He goes, you're the guy. You're the guy I've been looking for. I said, uh-oh. He goes, I missed a bachelor party in Vegas with all my friends. I couldn't go. And they went to a comedy show. And he goes, they still do it. But for a year solid, they couldn't take a drink without going, sip, sip. They said, oh, we saw this comic, sip, sip. And he goes, it took me 6 years, but I've finally seen you.
Oh, my God. What a cool story.
That's why, I mean, no one knows my name. No one remembers a joke, but they remember sip. And that's good enough for me.
No one ever remembers comics' names. It's the funny, like, you ever have a friend go, oh, I went to Governor's the other night. I'm like, oh, who'd you see? A black guy a blonde girl, some fat dude. And you're like, really?
You
Like,
just named every lineup in the country.
Yep. And you know what? I have the easiest name to remember, and no one remembers it.
Yeah.
The funniest was when I first started. So Kevin and I go back as far as I go back in comedy, because when I was a door guy and a bus boy, Kevin always treated me with respect. He always treated me like a human being, where a lot of comics were really rude to me. And
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. Get over it. It's 20 years ago.
You get these prima donnas, Richie Byrne, and but I had comics that would treat me like I was like, the fact that I was an English speaking busboy was like, oh wow, like they treated me like garbage. And then when I became the booker, Downey quit talking to me, and all the people that treated me like shit started being my best friend. And I remember I called Kevin one day, and I said, hey man, how come you don't call the club and call in your avails? And he was like, well, you're the booker and we're friends and I don't want to make it awkward. And I was like, well, now I'm going to book you twice as much. But it's like, it's such a rare quality. And I just absolutely love having a friend like that,
The pleasure and privilege is mine, sir.
I'm going to make out with you as soon as COVID's over.
Wait, can I tell the Montreal story?
Of course. And in fact, Nick might be tuning in. If you're tuning in, please pipe in, because I went up with Nick.
Oh, that's right. So Riccadon and I are friends, and I'm hanging out with Truson a lot, and we only hang out with people that if you can bust their chops and they take it and they do it back. So, But Riccadon and I are already friends, but I feel like busting his chops. So there's this bar called the Delta Bar where everyone goes after the shows. And I said, it was true. They said, we're letting only like 2 people in at a time. And I told him, hey, if we pretend we're a couple, we got to hold hands to let us in. And I thought he's like, oh, no way. And he fucking grabs my hand and goes, hi, we're here for the Delta Bar. I was like, oh, this is hilarious. He's totally calling me on my nonsense.
I wanted in that party.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I might have put my hand on your ass. I wasn't afraid.
Yeah, that's what I was like. We were already friends. I was like, yeah, this nothing phases this guy. He's one of us. Grab my hand, call me.
Now, you guys met when you guys were just starting out at Rascals.
Yeah, did you and your brother used to go to Eagle Tavern, right? Did we ever run? Did I ever see you at Eagle Tavern? I think so.
I think so. I remember you more from the Rascals on Tuesday, because there used to be 48 people at Eagle Tavern.
Yeah, but you went to Eagle Tavern, right?
Yeah, I know. I saw you there, but we started talking more down at the shore.
Right. Eagle Tavern was great, though. What a cool concept! It was on Tuesday nights. You sign up, and they had a back room on 14th Street, and you did stand-up, and there'd be 100 people, right, Kevin? They'd all be stand-ups, but you'd start setting up at 3 p.m, and you just have a list that went on. And Tim Davis, who ran it, would watch everybody. And he then would go, okay, Thursday, March 20th is your Thursday. We do on Thursday nights, they would do a regular show. They'd only bring in 5 comics who had to bring people. That was the thing. And the more people you brought, A, the more money you got, and B, the more time you'd get on stage. Remember, it was you'd get 10 minutes, which was a huge amount of time at that. And then if you brought, for every 10 people you brought, you got another minute or something like that. And and then when you got pretty good, he would let you go in on a Thursday and do a show. He'd have 5 comics had to bring people, and then he'd put another 5 on that were just there, to perform. And that was so cool, because you're performing in front of people you've never been in front of. It's not your family, it's not your friends. And that was just a great learning device. And then driving down, you'd go down to Rascals on a Tuesday night, and you'd be in the bar doing open mics. And like Kevin said, they'd be like, hey man, we need you in the big room. And that was such a cool thing when you got that big room, you know. And then eventually they're like, all right, you're going to MC the week, you know. And then
it was an actual building process.
Yeah, it was right. Yeah, and everything meant something. You know what I mean? It was so cool.
That's really awesome. That I love the idea of thinking that you earn your spots. Where now it's more like, oh, you got a lot of followers. Yeah, you can headline.
Yeah.
Do you have time?
Yes, it was totally different back then. And then, Kevin, if you remember when you got West Orange, when you ended up doing Rascals in West Orange, that was,
you made it, baby.
Yeah. I remember sitting in the green room watching a Tyson Holyfield fight with members of the New York Giants because they were hanging out in West Orange at the club, and they wanted to see the fight, and they took them to the other room. It was so weird. It was just such a different. You really felt like you were in show business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So cool.
The last time. Go ahead.
No, you go.
The last time I was at West Orange, I was middling for Carlos Mencia, and so I got there. Remember the guy who ran it, Danny?
Sure, Danny.
Okay.
We're talking about trying to have him come on soon.
He comes and watches us a lot, Danny.
I love him. He comes up to me and goes, hey, so Carlos wants to do some extra time. Instead of doing 30, we're going to have you do, or I'm supposed to do 20. He goes, just do 15. Okay. And then 2 minutes later, all right, Carlos, he brought a guy. So now you're going to do 10. I'm like, okay. I said, do I get the same money? He goes, same money. Don't worry about it. I said, okay. Then it comes out. He goes, so Carlos, look, he really wants you to do 5, maybe 4. And Carlos comes in. He goes, oh, you're the guy? I go, yeah. I said, do you want me to just go home? If you pay me, I'll go home. He goes, would you do that for me? For me, you would do that? I'm like, I know he's going to steal my bits anyway. So I'm like, I would do that for you. So Danny goes, that's great. Danny just wants to show. He goes, here you go. There you go, Kev. Appreciate it. See you next time. And I got paid to not perform.
Really?
That's my favorite gig of all time, when you get paid to not do a gig.
Too. My mission is to see how much I can make to not perform. And it's a college where they canceled the show, but still gave me $1,000.
Yeah, that's
and they apologized to me. We're so sorry. I'm like, yeah, this is horrible.
Who was he died a few years ago. He was bald-headed.
George Carlin.
He used to be a chemist. Oh, really?
Walter White.
No. I think he was a chemist. Anyway, he was headlining West Orange, and I was emceeing.
Not Wolfberg.
Who? No, not that. It was after that. He only died a few years ago. Anyway, it'll come to me. But so he's headlining, I'm opening, and I'm mad. I think that the middle should be emceeing and I should be middling. It's one of those things, right?
Was I middling?
So I'm in a bad mood because I'm not middling. No, you weren't middling. No. So the guy comes up. So the owner, Mark, the owner of West Orange, says, all right, so, do 15 up front, then do 5 in between. And you know how they were. You did what they told you. You know what I mean? So the middle's up doing his act, and I'm just watching, and I should be the middle. This is bullshit, all that shit in my head. And the headliner comes up to me. He goes, how much time is he doing? And I go, 25. And he goes, and then what are you doing in between? And I go, they told me to do 5. And he goes, do 3. And I go, now I'm doing 7. Like, don't tell me, especially, you know how Mark was, the owner. You did what he told you to. But it was just so funny. He goes, do 3. And I go, now I'm doing 7. Like, it just, and he starts laughing. Thank God. He goes, what an asshole I am.
See, I wasn't wrong about that diva statement earlier.
And it hit him like, what am I doing? I'm telling this kid to do like 2 minutes less. You know what I mean? Like, can't think of his name. We ended up being pretty good friends after that, but I'll never forget that. It was like the first ballsy thing I ever did in comedy. At that point, you're always like, they told me, but I was like, now I'm doing 7. You know what I mean? I was so proud of myself for that.
I saw a comic get banned from a club over 3 minutes because he was closing and he thought he was doing 45. But then they said, oh, we're going to put so-and-so on so-and-so, and we want you to do 35. And he goes, but, I've got friends here. He goes, 35. Your friends will enjoy your 35. And the guy who owned the place was also the MC. And he said, oh, I'll do a few between. Well, he does whatever. He does 7 minutes. And the closer goes, he's doing 10 minutes, and that's not coming off my 10. And after they get into a huge fight over how much the owner did in the middle. The comic, the owner said, I did 7. And the closer said, you did 10. And they were fighting over, he got banned. And he's telling me the story about it. And I was there. I wasn't there when he was doing it, but he told me a story. I said, so you got banned over 3 minutes? How many thousands of dollars are you going to lose because you argued with the owner over 3 minutes? He goes, yeah, you're right, Kev. I screwed up. That was stupid. But it's just one of those little ego things. Like, got to do my time. You did more than you're supposed to do. 7, you did 10, and banned for a lifetime. The club's closed now. What was it called? Linda booked it.
Where?
In Syracuse, Wheeler's Room. Wise Guys.
Wise guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a guy who got banned just for arguing with the owner over those 3 minutes.
The headliner for me was Chris. Oh, God damn it. Chris, he was really smart act. And he was bald. Chris, I can't remember.
All right. Well, hey, we're hitting the 57-minute mark, and we got to close out here in a minute. So real fast, I want to ask about your favorite gig, and then I'm going to ask for your best bombing story. But I wanted to bring up favorite gig because you know what I realized this morning? 8 years ago to the day, me, you, Craig Gass, and Don Jameson were in Portugal.
Oh, that was great.
That was one of the greatest times I think I've ever had doing comedy. We're in Spain and Portugal, just having the time of our lives, drinking bottles of wine like they were beers. Just like,
yeah. That was one of the highlights of my entire career. That was so much fun. In Spain, Portugal, and the Azore Islands.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a great time. But
we're in a tall, like a real high-rise hotel on the ocean. Waves are crashing in. We're on your veranda drinking espresso in the morning like we're fancy.
I love gigs like that, though, man. You feel you feel so important.
That's what makes every stupid weekend in Altoona worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I want you to tell the Great White story.
Oh, okay.
You want me to preface it on what Kevin did not know, and then you tell the story?
However you think it's going to go best.
Okay, so Kevin does not know this. The bar we are performing at has a gigantic mural on the back wall dedicated to Ty Longley, who is the guitar player for Great White, who grew up in my town, who passed away in the fire in Rhode Island. His father hangs out at that bar, and they sell shirts to raise money for his child who was unborn when he passed, wasn't born yet, and they're raising money for the family. There's no reason Kevin should know this, but we have a gig at this bar. We go in, and I'll just put the setting up. The place is all raw wood. It's raw wood with a giant fireplace, and it is packed. I mean, you couldn't even. It was standing room only. People were like this, standing there, crowded, just packed in. And both our parents were at the gig. And we had the time of our lives. I opened the show. I brought up Kevin. Kevin, you take it from here.
All right. I'm supposed to do 30. I've never in my life bailed. Like, if they don't like me, I don't care. But this night, it's going great. Like, it's one of those nights where the building is shaking. And it couldn't be going any better. And as I'm on stage, as Mark said, they're packed in. They're standing. Our parents have the only tables there. Everyone is standing. They're packed in like sardines. The wood is raw, unexposed. It's hot as hell. And not knowing anything, I say, hey, someone light a match. We'll turn this into a great white show.
No.
Crickets. And I go, oh, okay. So I do the next joke. Crickets. Do another joke. F you. You're not funny. And now I was just killing. And I'm like, wow, I have no idea what happened. Get off the stage. And I don't understand anything. So I've got 10 minutes left. And for the first time in my life, I go, all right, thanks, good night. And they're like, now, Riccadonna and I have been drinking, but he's off stage. He's a little tipsy. And he comes up to me. He goes, we got to get you out of here. I go, what? He goes, you couldn't know, but we got to get you out of here. He puts his arm around me. He torpedoes through the crowd. And we go through the door into the pub area. And he goes, look, you couldn't know, but look. And there's a shrine to that guitar player, Tyler. He goes, his dad hangs out here. You got to go. So I start laughing. And I go into the parking lot. And it's a gravel parking lot. And I put it in reverse. And the last thing I see as I'm driving away is Riccadonna at the door doing this like a football move, holding the crowd back as I peel out into the night. And then a year later, I'm at a bar in Vegas telling the story to a bunch of comics. And Riccadonna's cousins, Tony and Chuck, are there. And Tony's, selling his part, and Chuck is just getting angrier and angrier. And I tell the story, and then it ends with, and the last thing I see is Riccadonna with a football move, and they all laugh, and his cousin Chuck goes really loud in the casino, fuck you, and he storms off. I go, Tony, what's with your brother? He goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, Chuck taught Tyler how to play guitar. They were best friends. I'm like, you might want to tell me before I tell the story. And there's another time I told that story and someone got mad because their cousin was there who died. So like there's 3 levels of this story where people get mad at me.
Even in the retake, there's somebody in our chat room who's pissed off right now.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite because Kevin was killing like I've never seen someone kill. And in one line, all gone. And it just... So, guys,
what would they go? Hey, no great white jokes.
So, we're going to wrap up here with Drink Jokes and Storytelling. But anybody who's watching, please stick around. Hit the refresh button when we go off air because we have another show coming on right after us called Night Meds. They're going to talk paranormal. They're going to talk about all kinds of it's comedians talking spooky stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I don't mean to interrupt you, but before we go up next Wednesday, this Friday, our show, we have the roundtable we're going to talk to Jim David and Michelle Ballin and somebody else about what it's like to be gay in the comedy world and the trials and tribulations, which is going to be great. And the original alternative. And then next Wednesday, Mark, is our non-comic week.
Yes.
And we have Joe Johnson, who's the host of the Beatles Brunch. I cannot wait for that show. If you're a fan, you have to watch. Even if you're not. I mean, it's just the guy's so interesting, and that's going to be a great show.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But make sure you hit refresh. Stick around for Night Meds. I'm Mark Riccadonna. That's Richie Byrne. Our special guest, Kevin Downey Jr.
Great job.
We thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stick around.
Thanks
Night Meds is on after. That's Drake Jokes and Storytelling. Yo.
Were they there, Mark? Right. Did Tom tell you anything? Because